Hello and welcome to My Daily Trivia. I'm your host, Danny, and today is Monday, August 28th, and I hope that you are having a wonderful day. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. Now, if this is your first time listening, I want to say welcome. My Daily Trivia is a 10-round quiz show with no specific themes, topics, or categories. We do, however, have a new episode every day, Monday through Friday, with each day getting progressively harder. So, today is, of course, Monday, which means that today will be the easiest day of the week. We're starting off slow. But as always, if you find this episode to be a bit challenging, well, I encourage you to listen to our other episodes later in the week. You never know, you might surprise yourself. You might know the answer to a question, and you might even learn something along the way. If, however, you find this episode to be a bit too simple, well, tune in tomorrow on Tuesday. We're going to make it a little bit harder. So without further delay, let's get into today's round of questions with question number 1. Area 51 is a highly secretive and controversial facility located in the United States. In which state is Area 51 located? And that state is Nevada. Area 51 is the common name of a highly classified United States Air Force facility within the Nevada Test and Training Range. A remote detachment administered by Edwards Air Force Base, the facility is officially called Homey Airport, or Groom Lake, named after the salt flat that it's next to in the airfield. Details of its operations are not made public, but the USAF, that's U.S. Air Force, says that it is an open training range and it is commonly thought to support the development and testing of experimental aircraft and weapons systems. The USAF and CIA acquired the site in 1955 primarily for flight testing the Lockheed U-2 aircraft. The intense secrecy surrounding the base has made it the frequent subject of conspiracy theories and a central component of unidentified flying objects, that's UFO, folklore. It has never been declared a secret base, but all research and occurrences in Area 51 are top secret or sensitive compartmented information. Area 51 is located roughly 148 miles northwest of Las Vegas, Nevada, with the closest town being Rachel, Nevada. But the answer to the question, of course, is that it is in the state of Nevada. Moving on to question number 2. In which book series does Neville Longbottom appear? And that book series is, of course, Harry Potter. Neville Longbottom is a fictional character in J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter book series. He is described as a round-faced Gryffindor student in the central character of Harry Potter's year. That's his school year, that is. Throughout the series, Neville is often portrayed as a bumbling and disorganized character and a rather mediocre student, though he is highly gifted at herbology. However, the character's personality appears to undergo a transition after he joins Dumbledore's army in Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. The encouragement he receives gives him confidence in his magical abilities, turning him into a more competent wizard. Eventually, Neville becomes the leader of Dumbledore's army during Harry, Ron, and Hermione's absence, searching for the Horcruxes. Neville is instrumental in the downfall of Lord Voldemort and eventually destroys the final Horcrux, which allows Harry to defeat the Dark Lord, once and for all. Neville is portrayed in the film adaptations by Matthew Lewis. So once again, Neville Longbottom out of the Harry Potter book series. Moving on to question number 3. What does KFC stand for in the fast food chain's name? And that KFC, of course, stands for Kentucky Fried Chicken. The KFC Corporation, doing business as Kentucky Fried Chicken, is an American fast food restaurant chain headquartered in Louisville, Kentucky, that specializes in fried chicken. It is the world's second largest restaurant chain, measured by sales, second only to McDonald's, with 22,621 locations globally in 150 countries as of December 2019. The chain is a subsidiary of Yum Brands, a restaurant company that also owns the Pizza Hut and Taco Bell chains. Fun fact, the fried chicken recipe has long been kept a secret. It was concocted using 11 herbs and spices, and the secret recipe is still kept in a vault at the company's headquarters in Louisville, Kentucky, even to this day. So, once again, KFC, that stands for Kentucky Fried Chicken. Question number 4. Which American singer released the hit song Crazy in Love in 2003? And that singer was Beyonce. Crazy in Love is a song recorded by American singer Beyonce, featuring a rap verse and ad libs from her future husband Jay Z from her debut solo studio album Dangerously in Love. Using samples from the Shy Lights' 1970 song Are You Gonna Be My Woman, Crazy in Love is a pop, hip hop, and R&B love song that incorporates elements of soul, the 1970s style funk music. Its lyrics describe a romantic obsession that causes the protagonist to act out of character. Crazy in Love was a number one hit in the United States and United Kingdom and reached the top 10 in various other countries worldwide. The song was universally acclaimed. Music critics praised the hook, Jay-Z's contribution, and Beyonce's assertive delivery of the lyrics. VH1 declared it the greatest song of the 2000s decade, while Rolling Stone ranked it as number 16 on their list of the greatest 500 songs of all time in 2021. And in 2018, Rolling Stone declared the song the greatest of the 21st century so far. So once again, Crazy in Love with all that praise that came from Beyonce in 2003. Question number 5. Prior to the September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks, how many towers were there in the original World Trade Center complex in New York City? And of course, the answer there is 2 towers. The original World Trade Center was a large complex of 7 buildings in the financial district of Lower Manhattan in New York City. It opened on April 4th, 1973, and was destroyed during the September 11 terrorist attacks in 2001. At the time of their completion, the Twin Towers, the original 1 World Trade Center at 1,368 feet, and 2 World Trade Center at 1,362 feet, were the tallest buildings in the world. The World Trade Center experienced several major crime and terrorist incidents, including a fire on February 13, 1975, a bombing on February 26, 1993, and a bank robbery on January 14, 1998. During the terrorist attacks on September 11, 2001, Al-Qaeda affiliated hijackers flew 2 Boeing 767 jets, one into each of the Twin Towers. Between 16,400 and 18,000 people were in the Twin Towers when they were struck. The fires from the impacts were intensified by the planes burning jet fuel, which, along with the initial damage to the building's overall structural columns, ultimately caused both towers to collapse. The attacks killed 2,606 people in and around the towers, as well as all 157 on board of the 2 aircraft. So once again, the amount of towers that went down on 2011 was 2. Moving on to question number 6. What is the branch of science that studies the interactions between organisms and their environment called? And that branch of science is called ecology. Ecology is the study of the relationships among living organisms, including humans, and their physical environment. Ecology considers organisms at the individual, population, community, ecosystem, and biosphere level. Ecology overlaps with the closely related sciences of biogeography, evolutionary biology, genetics, ethology, and natural history. Among other things, ecology is the study of the following: the abundance, biomass, and distribution of organisms in the context of environment, life processes, interactions, and adaptations, the movement of materials and energy through living communities, the successful development of ecosystems, cooperation, competition, and predation within and between species, and finally, patterns of biodiversity and its effect on the ecosystem process. So, once again, overall, the definition of ecology is the branch of science that studies the interaction between organisms and their environment. Question number 7. What is the capital city of Austria? And the answer there is Vienna. Vienna is the capital, largest city, and one of 9 provinces in Austria. Vienna is Austria's most populous and its primate city, with about 2 million inhabitants, and its cultural, economic, and political center. It is the 6th largest city proper by population in the European Union and the largest of all cities on the Danube River. Additionally, Vienna has been called the City of Music due to its musical legacy, as many famous classical musicians such as Beethoven and Mozart called Vienna home. Vienna is also said to be the City of Dreams because it was home to the world's first psychoanalyst, Sigmund Freud. I personally have spent much time in Vienna when I lived in Austria and have many friends there, and could not recommend it more to anyone who's looking for a place to travel. Moving on to question number 8. Which historical event is associated with a widespread pandemic that occurred in Europe during the 14th century? And that event is the Black Death. The Black Death, also known as the pestilence, the Great Mortality, or simply the plague, was a bubonic plague pandemic occurring in Western Eurasia and North Africa from 1346 to 1353. It is the most fatal pandemic recorded in human history, causing the deaths of 75 to 200 million people, peaking in Europe from 1347 to 1351. Bubonic plague is caused by the bacterium Yersinia pestis, spread by fleas, but during the Black Death it probably also took a secondary form, spread by person-to-person contact via aerosols, causing pneumonic plague. The Black Death was the beginning of the second plague pandemic. The plague created religious, social, and economic upheavals with profound effects on the course of human history. The Black Death was the second greatest natural disaster to strike Europe during the late Middle Ages, the first one being the Great Famine of 1315 and 1317, and it is estimated to have killed 30% to 60% of the European population. So once again, that historical event that killed all those people was called the Black Death. Moving on to question number 9. Which Japanese dish consists of vinegared rice combined with various ingredients such as seafood and vegetables? And that dish is called sushi. Sushi is a Japanese dish of prepared vinegared rice, usually with some salt and sugar, accompanied by a variety of ingredients such as seafood, which is often raw, and vegetables. Styles of sushi and presentation vary widely, but the one key ingredient is sushi rice, also referred to as shari or sumeshi. The creator of modern sushi is believed to be Hanaya Yohei, who invented nigiri-zushi, a type of sushi most known today, in which seafood is placed on hand-pressed vinegared rice around 1824 in the Edo period. Sushi is sometimes confused with sashimi, which is a similar dish in Japanese cuisine that consists of thinly sliced raw fish or occasionally meat. But the most important ingredient in sushi is the vinegared rice, along with seafood and vegetables. Moving on to our final question of the day. Now, before we get to our final question of the day, I do want to thank all of you for listening, and I want to encourage each of you to subscribe to this podcast We're trying to grow the community here at My Daily Trivia, and everything helps, including you hitting that subscribe button. That really helps the algorithm get the word out to more people and grow the viewership here at our show. So with that final plug getting out of the way, let's move on to the last question of the day, question number 10. Which ancient Greek philosopher is known for being the teacher of Alexander the Great and for his work on ethics and virtue? And that Greek philosopher was Aristotle. Aristotle was an ancient Greek philosopher and polymath. His writings cover a broad range of subjects spanning the natural sciences, philosophy, linguistics, economics, politics, psychology, and the arts. As the founder of the Peripatetic school of philosophy in the Lyceum in Athens, he began the wider Aristotelian tradition that followed, which set the groundwork for the development of modern science. As Plato's student and Alexander the Great's teacher, Aristotle left a lasting impact on Western philosophy. He has shaped today's perceptions of philosophy with his teachings on ethics and logic and thoughts on politics and metaphysics. A quick fun fact, Aristotle's name, roughly translated, means the best purpose. However, as Aristotle became famous, he gathered several monikers. While he was still alive, he was known as, quote, the man who knew everything, end quote, which, in my opinion, might be a little much, but also seems to be quite accurate. So once again, the teacher of Alexander the Great, known for his works on ethic and virtue, is, of course, Aristotle. So that concludes this round of My Daily Trivia. As always, Mondays are the easiest day of the week, so if you found this round to be a bit too simple, well, I encourage you to check in tomorrow. We're going to make it a little bit harder. If, however, you found this episode to be a bit challenging for your level, I always encourage you to listen to the rest of the week anyway. You never know, you might surprise yourself, you might know the answer to a few questions, and you might even learn something along the way. I want to thank each of you again for listening to My Daily Trivia. Tell your friends, tell your family. We're trying to grow the community here. I'm your host, Danny, and I will see you all tomorrow.